Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel Q&A. My name's Doug. So, we're going to start our little Christmas, our holiday movies. I don't know if this is really a holiday movie, but there are toys in it, I think. I'm talking Puppetmaster 10, and they made more of these. And this is Axis Rising. And for it, man, this movie is me and Jamie are about to record our review, and it's gonna be something. But for it, no matter what, I was so happy to interview actor and comedian and former basketball journalist in Eastern Europe, Martin Harris. Man, Martin, I connected with Martin. He had the same manager as like Stuart Penkin and Peter Jason. So he reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you want to talk to Martin?" And I looked at his IMDb, and it was just interesting the different types of films that he worked on. And he worked in that jail scene on the most recent season of Stranger Things. So we talked about that and really how he had to be so hush hush on the filming of that. And then also just his journey to America. You know, he grew up in Eastern Europe. He traveled around. Then at one point he was a basketball journalist. And then he would come over to the States, go to the All-Star game. He went to Madison Square Garden, met Kobe. And then after that, you're like, oh, it just goes right in acting, right? Nope. He goes to LA, works at the Comedy Store, is doing a Friday night show, doing stand-up for years, setting up all the big name comedians. We talked about like Mark Maron, Joey Coco Diaz, so many different people. It was a fun chat. The only thing I didn't like is he's an Atlanta Hawks fan, which I don't like being a Knicks fan. But yeah, Martin was great, man. So before I start the interview, do me a favor, wherever you're listening, please subscribe. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and also on YouTube. On our page, we have our YouTube. We're really trying to get to 1,000 followers. It just gives us the abilities to do a little bit more on our YouTube, and we can monetize. I'm not going to lie, and that'll really help us out in growing our sequel army even further. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be awesome. And of course, share with friends and enemies. But yeah, without further ado, here is actor, again, comedian, sometimes basketball journalist, Martin Harris. Awesome, man. So how are you doing tonight?
Not bad at all. What happened? Went shopping a little bit, because I had to use my gift card I got from Bloomingdale's. So I went do some shopping, and tomorrow I'm doing some voiceover work. So that was the only day where I was able to fit in a few shopping hours.
That's cool, man. No, I whenever I do research for people, I like looking up and down the IMDb and then watch a few things. I've seen a few things. Obviously, who hasn't seen Stranger Things? So we'll get into some of all the other different things you do, which I think is pretty neat. Especially, obviously you love acting, but the other parts of it, I can't wait to pick your brain about. But so your journey to Hollywood is pretty interesting. So you grew up. How long were you in Poland?
So I was born in Poland. I spent big part of my childhood in Germany, first East Germany, then Germany period, because it was after 1989. So
yeah.
So my high school years were actually, some of it was Germany, Tübingen, Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because my father is a professor of history of arts. So he specializes in like Martin Luther era art. And that took him to Germany for an extended amount of time here and there. Yeah.
So at what age, while you're in Germany, what got you into acting?
It's a strange, complicated story, to be quite honest with you.
Okay.
First, I thought I'm going to be just like my father, a professor of history, because that was all I was doing my entire early childhood, reading historical books and biographies. And especially I loved battles. I loved the military stuff, like big battles, Middle Ages, ancient battles, stuff like that. Obviously, my views have changed. I don't like wars anymore.
Yeah.
As a kid, you look at it, it's like, oh, we play plastic soldiers. It's fun.
Yes, exactly.
It's a little bit different when you grow up. But then I kind of somebody gave me a record. It was Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon, when I was 12.
Nice.
And since that point, music became my like obsession. And I forgot about the history part. And all I wanted to do was I wanted to have a band. I wanted to play music. And I did that. And then the band ceased to exist when I was like 18 years old and I didn't know what to do. So first I was writing about music, then I started writing about sports and it became a career suddenly. And I was doing that until I was 30 and came here.
You're writing sports? What were you writing? Like soccer coverage?
Like soccer, of course.
Yeah.
But I would say I was a specialist in NBA basketball. So
Nice.
United States several times early. And that's how I met Kobe Bryant when I was 18, at the All-Star weekend in New York. Went to a few more events like that, NBA Finals 2000, All-Star weekend 2001. And I started being known for that, mainly. Yeah.
That's amazing. So NBA, because basketball, people don't know this, I don't think. My buddy played in the States and he wasn't good enough to go into the NBA, but he was good enough to play overseas. And all these countries, they have pretty good fans, like in those different leagues in Europe or South America. So obviously it's not on the level of the NBA, but basketball is everywhere.
It is everywhere. Poland is a very soccer country. I would say Germany it's also a soccer country, but basketball a little higher level. But I'll tell you what, when I started working as a sports writer in 1998, I actually not only went to see Kobe Bryant versus Michael Jordan in New York, but also went to an All-Star weekend in Poland, which was, it's completely two different levels, right? Here is super professional, here kind of bunch of basketball lovers trying to put something that is in the mode of what they're doing, what we're doing here with the NBA. So it was like a little bit more amateurish, but still. The event happened in the southern Poland, and there were a bunch of American players, but because at the time it was like a boom for basketball in Poland. So there were a bunch of American players participating in that All-Star weekend, including one guy who played for the Lakers for one season. There were like a couple of guys who had like beat parts on different NBA teams for a few seasons. And we started partying together. Yeah. And we started partying together and we went to a local disco, and it was like in a very old school eastern part of Poland, very conservative, and we started having fun and they started having fun, and all the local girls started chasing those guys, and guess what happened? There were like 40, 50 local guys who came and with some racial abuses, they gave those guys a pretty bad beating, and the night ended up at the police station. Then it was a big deal. It was a big situation that happened out of it, and I was a witness. Like a lot of guys didn't want to be the witness, but I'm gonna be the witness. I'm gonna tell the truth. And the guy gets sentenced to prison. One of those main, I would say, aggressors. So I went from seeing my first All-Star weekend and seeing Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, to seeing like more the darker side of sports that sometimes it brings. And both experiences were important, I think.
No, that's true. So you're doing all that, and then at what age did like acting? When did you think about doing that?
So I was 29, and the biggest Polish publishing company offered me a contract for their new product. They were coming up with a new newspaper. So I left the job. I was with the biggest sports newspaper, which was sending me all over the world. I was pretty much a reporter. I was specializing in like doing the in-depth stories. So like a writer, right? But they offered me a very good deal. I just bought my apartment and I needed to fix it, So I took a better deal. And the problem is that after 4 months of this new project, they decided to abandon it. And like they gave everybody 6 months in advance and sent us all home pretty much. And because for like 10 years I was doing this, I was a reporter. I was flying all over the world. I was pushing. I was working extremely hard every day, sometimes in a different city, different country. I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna take a vacation, longer vacation. And on my way out from this publishing company, I saw they had a collection of 25 best movies of all time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy like a home cinema setup because it was like, I got paid 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch some movies. You know, I've never done it before. So I'm going to do it. I will have fun. I will finally have time to do that. And then I started watching, I think, Goodfellas, The Empire of the Sun was there. I think, what else? I think Casino was there. And I fell in love with it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I'm like, you know what? As a sports writer, I don't think there's much left I can do. I think I pretty much accomplished everything I wanted in that specific job. And I don't think it's that much of a passion to do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I was looking for something, you know, and I was thinking maybe I'll just be a screenwriter. And you know how you think when you don't know the business, when you don't have any experience. You think, oh, I'm just gonna be a screenwriter. I'm just gonna write in Hollywood, you know. So that was my first idea. Then I went to LA in 2006 first, I think. Yeah, that's the same year. And I went to see a play with a friend of mine. She took me to a play where Al Pacino was the lead actor, and the lead actress was unknown at the time, Jessica Chastain. It was Salome.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And I'm like, this is great. Maybe I should take some acting classes so I can be a better writer. And then when I decided to come to Los Angeles, it was pretty clear to me that's what I want to do. But it still took quite a bit of time to get to the level where I decided this is the only thing I want to do.
Yeah. Do you knew somebody that lived here, or they came with you?
No. I mean, I met people, but it's not
okay.
like new people. I just, met some people.
That's awesome. So you're taking acting classes to be a screenwriter. Obviously, you caught the acting bug, it seems. And what was the first thing you did? The first thing on your IMDb is like Angels and Demons, and then Sneeze, a short film that you worked on.
Yeah, it was a short film. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you how I got it. The short film. It's actually kind of funny story, but it's an appropriate story because I was at the party, and when a girl found out that I'm Polish, she asked me to say something inappropriate in Polish so she can repeat it to her boyfriend. And she happened to be a producer, and her boyfriend happened to be a Polish director at UCLA, and they were doing this short film. And because we started having a conversation, she's like, you know what? He can actually use you for the film. And they hired me for the film, and I had one line. It was in a gym where I was lifting some weights, and a guy's asking me to, hey, can you pass those weights to me? I'm like, yeah, sure, man, sure. So that was everything I did.
But you know what? That one experience, you get to have that win early on, even though you had to say something appropriate. Even though
it was method acting. I was in the gym for a week before that.
Yeah, no. And then right after that, so that's 2008. And then again, it's all about just getting the experience and getting your foot in the door and working on a movie, whether it be Guy at Bar or anything. The fact that you're in Angels and Demons, like a big movie, and you had a role in them, that's awesome.
Yeah, but there was a non-speaking role. I was my first couple of years, I was going for classes and getting as much experience as I can. Yeah, I was very reserved about, not to get into bad habits, not to get into bad mindset. I was trying to learn as much as I can. I knew that I'm behind because I started in my 30s. I haven't acted before. I had some probably bad habits from being a broadcaster, from being a TV host, so I needed to switch my way of looking at the camera and being in front of the camera. So I was just trying to learn as much as possible. And I knew that once I will be ready, I will be ready, and it took a while for me to be comfortable with the fact where I decided this is my career and now I'm ready to pursue it full time. And for me, the transitional job was when I started doing stand-up comedy, and I got my own show at the Comedy Store for 3 years. So hosting the show and producing the show, which was awesome. Extremely stressful, but it taught me a lot.
That's great. Did you ever have anybody scout you there, like for acting? Did you ever get any roles?
Yeah, I did. One of the first jobs I actually played myself in a documentary that ended up winning a lot of awards. It's called Where Have You Gone, Louis DiMaggio? It's about a comedian that comes.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so it's about a comedian that tries a comeback after 30 years, And the cast of this documentary is pretty amazing because they have Larry David, I believe, Jeff Garland, Howie Mandel, Jay Behar, few more people and me. You know, I play a guy who brings him back. I offer him spots at the Comedy Store, which I did, and he did my shows. I actually did bring him back. It's all real. And yeah, so stuff like that. And then one manager was coming to a lot of my shows because I was like blasting all agencies and management companies. You know, hey, I have a show, come over. You know, we have special guests because I had a lot of special guests. I had like half of my show were up and comers like myself, and half of the show I was trying to get stars. So I was running after Joe Rogan every time he parked the car at the lot of the Comedy Store. I'm like, Joe, come please. You know, if you can do 10 minutes. Mark Maron was sick of me at some point, but you know what?
I love Mark.
He still likes me, I think, because you know he did actually a bunch of those shows. Great guy. What an amazing guy. Yeah. One of my favorites of all time. And I actually went to, you know, I left Comedy Store in 2017 where I decided I'm just gonna do full-time acting. But I went to visit my old friends. You know, one of them is now the general manager of the Comedy Store. I think like 2 months ago I went there. People gave me a very warm welcome. The people were extremely nice to me, you know, and I always feel like it's my second home in LA.
Yeah. So what made you want to do comedy? Did you go there and say, you know what, I'll give this a shot, or?
So here's where it started. I was doing a workshop, actors workshop with Judith Weston. So that was Stella Adler, then it was Beverly Hills Playhouse, and then I went to study with Judith Weston. That was like my 4th year of studying, and I told myself, because like in Europe, like in Poland or Germany, if you go to do a program for like a theater school, it's 4 years. So I told myself, okay, I haven't done that, but I'm gonna do 4 years of study before I really see where I am as an actor, you know? So that was my 4th year. And she said, you're very, very talented, but I think you should try to do some comedy because, you know, you can do those tense characters, military guys, bad guys, but if you start doing comedy, that will make you more versatile as an actor. So I signed up for a few shows, and they were extremely poorly organized, you know? They were so bad and I had to invite my friends to get the spot. And those friends, you know, felt bad for me, you know, because they were sitting there, you know, watching a bunch of really bad acts doing this for me because they wanted to see me. Yeah. So I said to myself, you know what, I can actually probably organize a better show, put up together a better show and perform on it. What I didn't know though, how stressful it is, because then if you have a good show, everybody wants to be in it and people will contact you, people will call you, people will text you, people will, you know, constantly be on you to put them in the show, which I understand. Yeah. But after like 3 years, I'm like, you know what, I got what I wanted from it. You know, I'm ready now. I have a manager, I have an agent, I got my first credits, I'm auditioning. Now it's time to really go for it. And when I left the Comedy Store, people couldn't believe it. People like, why are you doing this? You know, you have Friday spot at the biggest comedy club in the world. But I knew that this was just a way, this was just I would say a transitional period of time in my life from my previous life to what I'm doing right now. It was a perfect transition. It served me very, very well. But this is what I really want to do.
So what was your first like acting role, even while you're still like at the store, that you felt like this is like what I want to do? Like, because you said like obviously you had like the background parts, or you played like the Nazi soldier and like Puppetmaster X or
roles, just small roles. Yeah. Those were just small films. Yeah, those were just smaller films. The Last Ship, I did that was my first TV role, and it was a guest star. And I was so shocked that I got that part back in 2014, I believe. I was so shocked I got that part. And at the time, I still wasn't a citizen yet. I was just the resident. So I had a green card. That I started looking for my green card at home, and I've lost it somewhere. And I started being paranoid, and because I had to bring it next day to set, you know. And I'm like, they're not gonna let me. This is my opportunity. This is my chance, and I would blow. You know, I've blown it because I cannot find my green card. You know, like this is you know. And I started being really, really stressed out. So, but at the same time, whenever I'm stressed out, I think fast. So what I need to do. Okay, here's the immigration center in downtown. My call time is 1 p.m. I have to go to this immigration center at 7 a.m. So I went there at 7 a.m. I think my call time was actually 11 a.m. So 7 a.m. I'm in downtown, and I'm like, hey guys, can you put the stamp in my passport that I'm saying that I'm a resident? I need it because I lost my green card. And they're like, yeah, but you have to wait in line. You have to apply electronically for that. You have to apply online. I'm like, how long would I have to wait? And they're like, 3 months maybe. I'm like, no, I need it today. And I started begging. I went on my knees. I'm begging them. And you know what? They did put the stamp in my passport like around, I think, 9:30. My location was in San Pedro. We worked on a famous battleship. I think it was Iowa. And I took the taxi. I took taxi from downtown to San Pedro, and I was there just on time. But people don't know how much I went through.
Yeah,
I couldn't sleep at night. I was in downtown to get a stamp in my passport. But you know what? I did the part. It still looks great. I was there for 12 days, and I played I played like the henchman to the main villain in the storyline. So I got killed by one of the leads on the show, Rona Mitra.
Well, that's so great. People are like, hey, so Martin, how was your morning? And you're just like, yeah, it was good. Like, and just think about how the craziness you went through.
And you know what's the craziest part? That actually that day we had to film like 3 scenes. For the next 11 days, I had an hour here, hour there.
Yeah.
But this day I was on set for, I think, 18 hours. After not sleeping previous night and all that stress, I'm on set for 18 hours.
That's unreal. And it's so funny when you mentioned, like, so you left the store 2017, you said?
2017, yeah.
So that's like when it all kind of changed for you, because right around that time is when you got Days of Our Lives. Did you get that first, or did you leave the store?
Yeah, no. I got it first, and I got that. I got Scorpion, and I believe
that was a good show.
Shot in Puerto Rico with Martin Freeman, and that led me to make a final decision that this is it.
Yeah.
After that happened, I'm like, I need to focus on acting, and I only want to do that. And then I left the store, and then I didn't work for a year. But you know what? I was on a bunch of evals. Life of an actor. I was like on 12 evals, and I couldn't book anything. But that year after that, I booked a lot. So it's just the way it is.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Yeah, and then all around that time too is that what I wanted to ask you about was like the other work that you did, not just like in front of the screen. Like, so you have a lot of credits that are obviously ADR and voice talent, and then also like consultant. So what did you consult on for? Like, you have Scream. My daughter loves Paw Patrol, so I have to ask you about that. So what kind of like consulting work did you do on that?
Whenever I have time, whenever it works time-wise, because like last year acting, obviously I've been acting a lot. I had like 14 or 15, major jobs as an actor. But whenever there is time, whenever there is place for that, they use me as a linguist.
Oh, cool.
Whenever they need to. So I often do that. I speak 8 different languages. So
really?
So I give a lot of options, like if they need, let's say they need to check something, or Polish, Czech, or German, or Russian, or Ukrainian, I can do that, so Serbian, Croatian. I've spoken so many different languages in my roles that it became of my, one of my strengths. Yeah. And this is also part of it. So sometimes, they ask my opinion, like, what would you say in that language? What makes sense? Like, how would you say this or that? Like what's appropriate for that situation to say? Or sometimes it's just in the post-production process when they just show me what's done, and they ask me, what kind of subtitles they need to put in.
Wow. How did that start? Were you on a movie set, or did you know somebody, or?
Somebody asked for my help one day I think it was on X-Men Apocalypse, and then it's a word of mouth. Same with most of voiceover work, although some I got from my agent.
Wow. So did you learn all languages like growing up? Did your dad speak a lot of languages?
Yeah, I mean, German and Polish, of course, those were my main
Yeah.
languages growing up. But then Russian, I still had it in school. I'm like of the last generation that still had Russian in school before communism ended.
Yeah.
Listen, I lived 11 years of my life in communism.
Yeah. It's wild.
I still remember that. I still remember there's nothing at stores except of vodka and oil. So I still remember those days, you know.
That's wild.
And that's why East Germany for me was almost like, even if it was still like quasi-communist country, but whenever I was spending my time in East Berlin and I was in East Germany, it was a huge difference between Poland and East Germany in terms of food. Like we didn't have chocolate in Poland; they had chocolate in Eastern Germany. We didn't have Coca-Cola in Poland, but they had their own Coca-Cola called Cola Club in Germany. They had they had a lot of stuff that we didn't have.
So crazy when you really think about it. Like all these things that ever happened in our history really aren't that long ago. It's really crazy when you really think about it. Even like thinking back to the world wars and everything.
Yeah, my grandpa is 101. My grandpa is 101, and he remembers. He was 18 to 23, I think, during the World War II, or something like 17 to 23. And he was in German prison, in Nazi prison. He's still in fantastic shape, and sometimes we talk about it, you know?
Yeah. Wow. 101 guy. I'd sign up for that right now. 101.
101, yeah.
That's insane.
I went to visit my family for Christmas last year, and he drank under the table, my grandpa. He can drink. Yeah. Like he's bringing second bottle from the kitchen, and I'm like, no, I'm out.
I'm done, Grandpa, please.
Yeah, I'm out.
So then you did a lot of like working with Netflix. I've interviewed a lot of people. I don't think I've ever interviewed somebody that worked on like those Netflix films. So I think the first one you worked on might be Red Notice, or I don't know which film first. Red Notice, yeah. Because that was like a huge budget. That movie had I don't know if it all went to the actors or if it was into everything that was involved, but is there any difference like working with them versus like working with any other type of studio?
I don't know if there's a difference per se. I would say I have a good working relationship with Netflix. I appreciate that. They even invited me to some event a week ago, and because I believe it, because I'm in a bunch of recognizable Netflix shows and films, they were like extra nice to me, and they gave me some little rewards, which was nice.
Cool.
Red Notice was fun. Yeah, they had a huge budget to the point that for the first week they didn't even use me. I was on set the whole weekend. You know, they were paying me a lot of money for not doing anything. But also they brought me once. It was a day before the pandemic started officially. So they brought me for the second time to Atlanta. Of course, those are SAG rules. You know, you fly first class and you have a driver and everything. And just to have a different angle of my scene that they didn't end up even using, you know, in the final cut. So I flew there for one day. I remember I stayed one night in a hotel. It was March 14th, 2020. And then my friends started telling me that, you know, there's nothing at stores in LA anymore, especially there's no toilet paper. Yeah. So before I left, all I did, I packed 2 rolls of toilet paper for my hotel room in Atlanta. And I used it for first 3 months of pandemic.
I bet. So you got home just in time.
Yeah, just in time. Oh
my God.
And I remember also like the long hours on set were also because Dwayne would like to take breaks to go to his like private gym. He had like a private gym in his trailer. So he would take breaks for like 2 hours and just to work out.
Yeah. Stays in shape that way. That's why he looks like that.
He's in unbelievable shape.
Really, really. That's crazy. You were on set on the 14th. So funny. We just had a son back in July, and there was like on this shelf in one of the rooms, it was like on the top, and I grabbed it, and on there it had the date of everything. It was like no more. It was like an old notice that they had up in the in the hospital that said like no more than 2 people in a room. It was like March 14th was the date on there. And it's so crazy. Like it's so long ago, but really it seems like yesterday, like how crazy everything was. Like you said, your friends texted you and said, hey, there's nothing in the stores. It was like that in Jersey too. That's where I'm at. It was insane.
Oh, cool. So you have a lot of Polish people in Jersey.
Yeah, there's a lot of Polish people in Jersey.
Yeah, I know that.
Jersey's really everything. Everybody comes to Jersey, I guess, because it's right by New York. But they're like, my high school was so culturally diverse. It was like the most culturally diverse, like in the United States. Like my graduating class, it was like so many different people, like different walks of life from all over the world. That's why I love New Jersey. And LA is the same way. You get all these different types of people.
Actually, a bunch of people moved from LA to Jersey that I know. I'm one of the comedians. What's his name? Very famous comic moved to New Jersey last year. Joey Diaz.
Oh yeah, okay. He just interviewed Vic DiBitetto on his podcast.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, Joey Diaz. That's great. So cool. It's so cool that you did that you have that other part that you did that for so many years. But no, so like so Stranger Things, like when Charles reached out to me, it's so your face you just remember from those scenes, because those are like some of the coolest scenes in that series, like in the prison. What was it like working with like a CGI monster? Did they have anything in place?
Yeah, there was a guy. It was a tall guy. Actually, we were there for 2 months on set. I mean, in Atlanta. For first 2 weeks was a quarantine, paid quarantine in a hotel, as part of the SAG rules at the time. So it was in the middle of pandemic.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks of that. Then we had a rehearsal for the fight scenes, and that was the first time we saw the guy. He was a tall guy. He had a ping pong ball at the top of his head, just to make, to give the reference how tall he really is.
Yeah.
The Demogorgon. And there were a bunch of stunt guys who were mirroring our movement and jumping in the final part of it. Like, let's say the killing scene, right? The fight scene at the very end where 3 of us prisoners die, 4 of us, actually.
Yeah.
6 of us in the prison story, only 2 survive, which is Dimitri, played by Tom Vlaschka, and Hopper, played by, of course, David Harbour. So out of us, the prisoners, 6, 4 die in this battle, and the final part of that battle was the stunt guys, but everything else was us.
Yeah, it's so cool the way they do that, because I talk to people when they don't do that, and you can tell when the CGI is not done the right way, but planned. Like when they just basically like put something in when the actors don't know like the reference point, and you could tell that it doesn't look good. But no, that's so cool. 2 months.
No, everything is real. Like every movement we did, we actually did it. Sometimes we use our imagination, like the reaction, because obviously you see in the show, the Demogorgon comes out and jumps over and kills the first guy. So the Duffer Brothers directed that the whole episode and this whole sequence. So they would tell you exactly what they want from you in the moment. Like they'll tell me, hey, show more despair, show more panic. Yeah. You suddenly become like a coward. You suddenly become scared, so play into that and react to the guy, because I'm the 3rd one being killed out of us 4. The first guy is being killed, who is like in front of me, then the guy next to me, then me, and then Oleg is being killed later. So they want me to react first to this guy, they want me to react to that guy, and then obviously the Demogorgon is with his back towards me, and I'm trying to take a swing, and then he takes a swing, and he takes me and hits me to the top of the curb, which by the way, they didn't plan. That there was a part of it that fell off when the Demogorgon is hitting me and
killing me.
That wasn't planned, but they kept it in the final
Oh,
cut.
wow.
It looked cool, it looked cool.
How long until afterwards did they have a screening, or when did you get to see what it actually looked like all put together?
When it came out, there was no speed. Listen,
awesome.
Everything was that was the only job where I wasn't allowed to even say I'm on it. Because for example, I'm also in the next season of Marvelous Miss Maisel. I cannot talk about it. You know, who I'm playing and what's the story, but I can tell you that I'm on it, you know.
Cool.
But with Stranger Things, I wasn't even able to say that. I wasn't even able to say that I'm on Stranger Things. I couldn't put, it was in my contract, couldn't put a credit on my resume that I'm on Stranger Things until it comes up.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're getting script. I never got the full script. We're getting only pages of what we're actually shooting. A night before, it was on a link, non-downloadable link. I couldn't download it.
Yeah.
And it was for every actor or every person, you know, who was part of the production. It was a separate link. So, you know, very, very, very secretive.
That's cool. No, it's good that they did that. Yeah, because spoilers, and then it's ruined when it gets out there.
Because it has such a huge following, they didn't know anything to any spoilers, any story. They didn't want, because they knew that people will be hunting for those. And whoever has the information, it has a lot of power. It has a lot of meaning, you know. So they were very, very protective, and they didn't want to take any chances. And I 100% understand why. Seeing the reaction from people, you know, because nothing like that. I've been part of some big shows or big films, but the reaction and hearing from people I haven't seen in 30, 35 years from all over the world after Stranger Things came out. You know, you realize, you understand how huge this show is.
Yeah.
How huge this show is.
No, it's insane that you have a show that is X amount of hours, like for the seasons. I think it was like maybe like 12 hours or 13 hours, all those episodes. And people would just set aside like that Friday, like when it came out, I did the same thing and watched all of them back to back. Did you film Maisel in New York, or was that out in LA?
In New York, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. No, I know a few people that auditioned for that. That's great, man. That's such a great show.
Yeah, it is. It is an incredible show. I mean, an amazing cast, very, very great actors. I mean, I was lucky in the last 3 years that the jobs that I got were with really amazing, incredible actors, like top of the world, you know.
Yeah, Amsterdam coming out soon.
The Staircase with Colin Firth and, you know, Sophie Turner, Better Call Saul, Gray Man, you know, I would say every production, every single one.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up? Because obviously you have a lot of things that are in post, and I'm sure a lot of things that you're signed on for.
As you mentioned, Amsterdam is out now, and I went to the premiere in New York 2 weeks ago, and it was a great experience. Then I went to the LA kind of semi-premiere. It wasn't an official premiere. Official premiere was in New York. It was kind of a premiere, LA premiere. So I went to both, and I've seen the movie twice. And just like I thought, it's very, very interesting. It's a very interesting film. It has a lot of humor. It has a like kind of heartwarming message. A very important message, in my opinion, and a lot of people involved with the film. It's one of those films, and somebody said that, I was listening to some podcast, and somebody said that it's one of those films that some people might not get right away, but in like maybe a few years, it will become one of those movies everybody talks about, you know, like one of those films that people like to come back to, and it's like, oh, this actually makes perfect sense.
Nice. No, I'm excited for it. So one question, you've done so much in your life, and I just can't get over the comedy part of it, but have you gone up since then? Have you done stand-up?
No, but I want to. I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. It was just, you know, the pandemic changed everything, because I was.
Oh no, I'm sure.
But I never kind of got back to comedy since the pandemic, and mostly it was because I was getting paranoid about catching COVID and losing jobs and losing gigs, and I finally it did happen. I did get COVID.
I did too. Yeah.
So now I'm not worried that much anymore.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool, man. Martin, this has been great, man. I loved, because I would never have known just by looking at some of these IMDb or seeing them in a show. You don't know, obviously, that you worked covering the NBA for all those years.
Yeah, I wrote 2 books on the NBA. Yeah.
Really? Oh, I gotta check them out.
But they're only in Europe though. But yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm a Knicks fan, so I've suffered my whole life. Well, except when I was younger, like they were good. 90s, they were good when I was there. 6.
That's where I started. 1998, when I went to the All-Star
Knicks
weekend.
Spurs.
That was 99, but 98, the first time I went to United States, I was actually staying in New York for a month and living in my friend's apartment in Queens. And I was going to Knicks games. They still had John Starks, they had Patrick Ewing, they had Charles Oakley.
Oh yeah, those are good teams then.
Yeah, then they had Larry Johnson, I think, Allen Houston.
Yep. Sprewell,
yeah.
Charlie Ward. Yeah, they had Kurt Thomas. Chris Childs. Yep. Kurt Thomas's birthday is today. Kurt Thomas, his birthday is today.
Nice.
That's awesome. So are you a Laker fan or are you a Clipper fan?
I'm a Hawks fan.
Oh, okay, nice.
I'm a Hawks fan. Yeah, I used to be a Rockets fan growing up.
Really? Okay.
I was a Kobe fan, so I was a Lakers fan, but mainly Kobe fan more than the Lakers fan.
Yeah,
and because he was kind of a mentor to me, and that was a very important relationship for me.
Yeah, no, I bet. Jeez, man. Nice meeting you, man. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for good times, and hopefully the Knicks will be better this year.
Oh, please, God.
They won the preseason game today. I checked the result.
I was checking the first half, and Brunson's looking good. So that was what they needed, a point guard. They haven't had a point guard in.
No, you know what? When I was a young reporter going to the Knicks games, his dad was playing for the Knicks.
Yeah, his dad was playing for the Knicks. And then his dad worked for Thibodeau. He was on Tibbs's bench for years. So he has that, and his dad's working for the Knicks again. They hired him before they signed the Sun.
You'll make the playoffs this year. I promise you that. You're gonna lose to my Hawks in the first round.
Oh, don't say that. All right, man. Have a great night.
All right, take care.
Man, wasn't Martin great? His stories about, like, obviously working on Stranger Things and the other roles he had over the years, but I loved that he was headlining and doing a show at the Comedy Store on Friday nights, and just like he said, he would like see eyes like a hawk seeing the comedians park. He'd be like, "Hey, Mark Maron, can you do a set? Can you do 5 minutes?" And just fascinating that he did that there, and working on Stranger Things and how long it actually took to film that jail scene, and the fact that during quarantine he was living in a hotel in Atlanta and just like there for months to film what was a super involved scene. And the Demogorg was just a man with like a stick on his head so they could get the eye level right. But yeah, Martin was great. So your homework, and I know Jamie's dreading this homework, but he already did it because, like I said, we're going to record this review in a few minutes. Puppetmaster 10, it's free on Tubi. I can't believe it's free. I'd pay nothing for this movie. But so watch it. There's going to be a lot to talk about. I have a lot of questions about not even this movie, but how there were 9 before. And there's one thing that happens in this movie that, I'm telling you, I was dying inside. So you'll hear it. But the only way you're going to hear it is make sure you review, rate, share our podcast, follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night, guys.